What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dermy Wormy, and I love Queen Cleopatra. It's fantastic. Everything surrounding it. The actual show itself looks like dog water, looks like garbage, and, well, audiences kind of agree. Even critics aren't too happy with this. Like, this is not a well-rated show, and we went over this already, but we already knew what was going to happen. You can't have a politically charged show. Remember, the director, and I did a video on this when I broke down her own her article, and what was it again? Variety or whatever. Maybe it was Hollywood Reporter. It was one of the two. Maybe it was Deadline. Whatever. Where she said this was a political reason for doing this. She said this. It was the director that said this. Jada Pinkett Smith knows that it's a political move. Everybody knows this is false. You have an actual historian, a scholar, who argues in the show, well, my grandma said that Cleopatra was black, and anybody that tells you that she ain't is wrong. Well, my grandma tells me that, something wonderful. My grandma told me to look both ways before I cross the street, and that Santa Claus exists. And the Easter Bunny. And the Tooth Fairy. Yeah. Grandmama lies. The lie! Well, actually, looking both ways before you cross the street is a good one. Anyways, but that's besides the point. We know what the response was going to be. And we'll start here. Was Cleopatra black? We're asking the wrong questions. Experts say critics of the Netflix docudramas Cleopatra are I cannot say this word. Anachronistically applying modern racial constructs to an ancient civilization. Oh, they're trying to argue you're being racist if you're even asking if she was black. If you're questioning this, but I prefer this one here from a Vogue. Let's just call the outrage around Queen Cleopatra what it is. Racism. Why? Well, they argue throughout this article, and I'll hit some of the points, that it's racist to think that this show is wrong, even though Egypt, even though Greece, even though everybody is pissed off with this because you're taking another culture's heritage, another culture's history, changing it, and then presenting it as fact, even though you're trying to use these weaselly words by saying, well, it's a docudrama, it's not actually real. These are what we're thinking it could have been. It might not have been. But because of these weasel words, you're trying to work your way out of it. But no, you still portray Queen Cleopatra as black when she was Grecian. Well, Macedonian? I don't know. Jed, where are you? Besides the point. You purposefully, you even admit that it was a political move, changed her. And when you got backlash from Egypt, you end up saying, well, they're just being racist. You have the director come out and say these exact words. Why doesn't Egypt want to see themselves as African? Why don't you want to represent their history? This is why they're mad. This is why they're pissed, because you don't respect them. You want to talk down to them, and you want to tell them what their history is when they know their history better than you. And I get it. Everybody's going to come at me and say, well, nobody knew who her mother was. Her mother was unknown. We know who she was, okay? All these paintings, all these sculptures, all these artifacts, and even the DNA tests and wrappings and stuff like that were able to actually tell you what she looked like. Yeah, I think we know what she looked like. I argue tanner. Sun, Egypt, tan. That's it. But let's get into this, shall we? You'll have caught wind of the discourse around Netflix's docudrama Queen Cleopatra by now. The question of historical inaccuracy and cultural appropriation prepared with a predictable dose of racism have made international headlines since the first trailer for the show dropping, introducing Cleopatra as a mixed heritage black woman, produced and narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith. Aw, keep her name out your mouth, by the way. The 4-part series, which premiered on the streamer this week, sees the Egyptian monarch played by biracial British actress Adala James. Her casting was met with a heavy-handed backlash almost immediately after it was announced, with certain scholars and both the Greek and Arab press enraged about what they described as the blackwashing of Egyptian history. Wow, maybe it ain't racisms. Just possibly, and hear me out here. I know this is a radical idea, radical facts, radical things. Maybe because she was Grecian and lived in and ruled Egypt, that the Greeks and the Egyptians know who she is. Radical idea. Radical thought. Just saying. I know this out of the blue. I know. I'm probably speaking racisms right now, right? Right? That people that actually know their culture, know their history, know their heritage, would probably know it better than a bunch of Americans, and probably don't like their history and heritage being treated this way. You know, I'm pretty sure if I made Barack Obama a white dude, maybe played by Ryan Gosling or something, I'd get some backlash. But it's a docudrama. I can do whatever I want. Hey, I'm gonna take MLK and I'm gonna make him let's say what's a good one for MLK? Tom Cruise. Let's go with that. Tom Cruise is now MLK. It's a docudrama. I'm gonna tell you the life of MLK, but Tom Cruise is gonna be MLK. Yeah, I get backlash for that. I would get disdain for that. I'd be called racist. I'd be called whitewashing history. But hey, if you point it out on the other end, you're just a racist. The passionate debate escalated when Egyptian lawyer Maham al-Samari, I already butchered that, al-Samari, demanded that the authorities ban the show in the country, accusing Netflix of misrepresenting Egyptian identity to promote Afrocentric thinking. This is true, though. You are misrepresenting Egyptian identity and promoting Afrocentrism. You quite literally are. He was echoed by a former minister of antiques for Egypt named Zahi Hawaz, who wrote a piece for Arab News claiming the Queen Cleopatra was rooted in falsehood. In the week since its publication, an Egyptian broadcaster has announced it will make its own version of the documentary with a light-skinned lead. Okay, see, now they're gonna one-up you. That actually sounds kind of interesting. They're so mad at you that they're gonna do it themselves and probably do it better, because I've heard what this show actually kind of shows, and it ain't pretty. It's supposed to be worse than a freaking soap opera. While concerns about historical accuracy and erasure are valid. Oh, okay, so all of our concerns are valid. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So why are you calling us racist? Oh, particularly when depicting stories of nuanced as Cleopatra's. Even the use of the phrase Afrocentric thinking in such a context is damaging. For starters, it's emboldened white supremacists who've crawled out of the darkest corners of the internet to spew hot and racial slurs at the cast and the creators of the show. Just as they did when Disney announced Hailey Bailey as the star of The Little Mermaid, Pixar didn't count, and when Shonda Rhimes dared to present black people in regal roles in Bridgerton. I don't know, I didn't watch that one. But here's the thing, though. One, the Hailey Bailey thing didn't happen. I still haven't seen any proof of this actually happening. And if it did, it was probably one or two weirdos. I don't even know who Shonda Rhimes. Well, I don't even know what this Bridgerton I got it. Bridgerton. I didn't even know what's going on here. $5 says it's doesn't make sense for the timeline. Just reading it out loud. But again, Pixar didn't happen. The only pick they have, and I should have pulled this up, is one that Aldala James put out, but they were tweets. And I'm not going to pull them up because they are some actually heinous things that were said. They weren't, the people that said them, it didn't look white. They looked Egyptian. And one of them has some Sanskrit in them. So I guess racism. And I guess what they said, white supremacists have DEI in them now. Yep. Diverse white supremacy makes perfect sense, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It's just more the bowl. To be clear, here's the funny part. To be clear, the docudrama isn't in fact arguing that Cleopatra was a dark-skinned black woman with no Macedonian Greek heritage at all. Then why depict her as one? This is the thing. We're not trying to argue this. We're just casting her as one. It's perfectly fine. You're just being racist and bigoted towards her. Grow up, man, babies. No, what you're doing is you're taking somebody else's culture, somebody else's history, somebody else's heritage, flipping it on its head and saying, well, this is truth now, but you're using this little term called drama to try to say, well, it's not 100% accurate. We're just giving you a version of it. Imagine if she was this, though. But at the same time, we're going to defend it. We're going to say that this could be real, that we have evidence that it's not real. But hey, ignore everybody else's claims. Ignore everything that's going on. Ignore entire countries that hate this. Okay? You're just all racist, but I'm going to leave it there, folks. Let me know your thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out with friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.